This is the best way to double your income as a teacher, teaching half the time or less than half of what you're doing right now. Any teacher can do this. That's the best part. So there's no need to quit the teaching profession or continue trading time for money as a teacher or stressing out when your next paycheck's gonna come in. Just do this instead. There's teachers all over the world doing it. So in this video, I'll break down exactly how you can double your teaching income and teach half the time. More impact, more teaching independence, more autonomy, and way more income for you as a teacher. So let's jump in. I'll show you how to double your teaching income. Let's go. Okay, in this video, I'll show you how you can double your teaching income, teaching half the time that you'll be teaching right now as a classroom teacher. Plus, I'll show you step one, how you can even just replace your teaching salary with this, what I'm about to share. And then step two will be how you can double your income. And if you so wish, even use this same process to triple, quadruple, and to be honest, scale it to whatever level you want as a teacher. So you don't need to quit the teaching profession, but you can start earning more income as a teacher in 2025. So let's jump in. Here's how you double your teaching income. I'm going to share my screen, walk you through the process, show you step by step how to do this. Let's go. So here's the current reality. On my screen here, this is the average teaching workload, right? Or work time, hours teaching. So let's say that you're doing average of 20 hours per week. That's 80 hours per month. This is actual teaching time, right? So let's say that you teach from actually when the students are in school, let's just say give or take 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. Now, not all of that you're going to be teaching, right? It's probably 9 till 10:30, then a quick break, maybe then a little bit of time until lunchtime, and then a few hours in the afternoon, right? And so therefore it's probably, let's say, actual 4 hours of teaching time per day. It might be a little bit more based on where you teach, of course. But let's say that's Monday through Friday. That's 20 hours a week of actual teaching, 80 hours per month, okay? However, we all know that's not all you're working as a teacher, right? Because there's the planning until midnight, there's the weekends working, there's the commute into school, there's the staying behind for meetings, all of the stuff that goes along with it. So actually I did a quick search and average teaching hours per week, it's actually 52 hours in the UK, I think, and 53 hours in the US. So let's just call it 52. 52 hours a week, average actual working hours of teachers, okay? Now, let's break down the actual average teaching salary. So in the US, this is $3,800, okay, currently. Okay, now, of course, that can vary. You might be earning way more than that as a teacher, and it doesn't matter. You can still use the exact same stuff that I'm going to share in here to double your income, teaching half the time. So, yeah, it could be dependent upon where you're teaching in the US, which state, whatever, but that's average, all right? Now, so let's break that down. If the average work hours that we've already seen is 52 hours a week divided by 5, that's 10.4. Okay, and now if you're teaching 20 average days across the month, Monday through Friday, you know, like times 4, that's 20 average days. That's 208 hours, right? So if you're to actually divide the hourly pay as a teacher, this is where it gets shocking. $3,800 divided by 208, $1,828 per hour, all right? And this is a job that is contributing to building our next tech geniuses, our next people that are going to evolve the world, right? Our future generations. Is shocking. And then the average teaching salary in the UK is £2,500. 52 divided by 5 is 10.4. Times that by the 20, so again, 208. Divide the 2,500 by 208, £12 an hour. Even worse. All right. Now, I mean, that probably works out the same with the currency conversion, right? Like £12 is probably give or take $18. All right. So now we know the average teaching salary and income. As I said, if that's not your average, if that's not your teaching salary, it doesn't matter. I've used averages for this video based on what I found online in research studies. You can just take your income, okay? It doesn't matter. And your workload might be a little bit different. Doesn't matter, okay? You can still use what I'm going to share in this. Now, of course, the average timetable then, if we look at the screen here, the schedule looks something like this, right? For a teacher, this is Monday through Friday. Let's say that you leave, you have to commute at 7 a.m. to get into school. Obviously, again, could differ if you live very close to the school you're working at. But you get what I'm saying? So like, it's not just 9 a.m. when the kids start or 8:40 or whatever. It's prior to that, right? Then you're not just going to zoom out the door when you leave, when the school bell goes and the students go home. You're going to have to stay around, do a few things. You're probably leaving at 5 p.m. and you probably actually have to commute after that. So for a lot of people, it could be even later. Then there's the schoolwork that goes in the evening. So this is actually being generous, but it's basically a job, right? We all know it's a job. So the key to double your income and teach half the time is to start to build a business, okay, that actually you are in control of when you teach, right? I'm going to prove it to you. So here, if I load up our site here, we've helped at the Teacher Project over 3,000 teachers at the time of me leaving this video. Okay, we helped teachers like Sadat scale to 13K months. We helped French teacher Sarah go to 5K, and she then scaled to 15K a month after that. Sam launched his business. Okay, he was a public school teacher in New York. Killian went from $120 a month to $2,000 a month in just 30 days. Arif scaled to over 40 grand in a single month. Lisa was able to use this to replace her teaching salary, quit the classroom. Since then, she's scaled to over 10K a month in her business. Evan actually brought in an additional 6 figures whilst teaching inside of the classroom, using what I'm about to share. So what's the elephant in the room? Obviously, they're teaching online, okay? Now, here's how you can use online teaching to quickly double your income in half the time. You can get a pen, you can write this down. I'm going to show you the math behind it so you know how it's actually possible, okay? So the first thing you're going to want to go and do, okay, is plot 10 one-hour teaching slots on your calendar, okay? And you will do this in times where you can actually teach. And most likely, if you're teaching in the classroom, this is going to need to be after school in the beginning, right? So load your calendar up, find a blank calendar, Google or whatever. And so if we find, let's say here on Monday, I'm going to plot. Now, you obviously could do this in the daytime. As you get going, as you build your business, you can go full time on this and you could teach international students or homeschooling students, whatever. But for the most part, a lot of you guys watching this, you're going to be teaching inside of school. So let's use my example where you didn't get home till 5 p.m. on that previous calendar. So let's say it's 6 p.m. I'm going to have a slot here and I'm just going to call it group 1. Okay, so I'm just going to call group 1 and I'm going to call it group 2. Change the color just for the sake of this video so we can see. And then I'm going to put group 3 here. I'm just going to do 4 or group 4 because maybe that's all I can fit, right? Now, you could, and what you're going to do here is we're going to form groups of students you can actually teach. So in the beginning, when you don't have much time, what I recommend is actually just doing maybe 1 class a week with each group, okay? And so you could, though, as you start to raise your rates, which we'll come on to in just a second, that's how you can, triple, quadruple, whatever, your income as a teacher. You're going to need to raise your rates. And at that point, you might add in more value and you might offer extra sessions and group classes to your students. So if you ever did that, what you could do is group 1 could see you again on Wednesday, okay? So that's one way to do it. However, in the beginning, I think you'll be absolutely fine. So you can see here, and then group 3 might meet me again on the Thursday, and that's the second session, and then group 4. There. All right, so I want you to do something like this. I just want you to map out a calendar of ideally 10 slots. Now, if you don't want to teach on a Friday, for example, then you might have a 3rd session on one of the days, okay? But in essence, all I've done here, if we go back to this, we said the average teaching hours was 20 per week of actual teaching time, okay? So what I've got you to do is plot 10, which is half the teaching time, okay? Now, at the moment, depending upon your schedule, if you cannot do 10, start with 4 hours, start with 6, start with 8. Allot what you can based on your current teaching schedule, and then what you probably need to do is use what I share inside this video, fill those classes with students, and we'll come on to that, okay? And then you'll perhaps be able to scale your actual teaching hours backward. And this is what a lot of our clients do. You can scale your teaching hours back inside of the classroom, and then you can eventually start to allocate more to this, and you might need to make the transition that way, okay? Now, second step is what you're going to do is make a decision on your student capacity per hour, per class, right? So I recommend that you start with 5 to 10 students per class. Now you would not, right? This needs to be group tutoring. You would not do one-on-one tutoring. You've got zero chance of doubling your income. And that's what this video is about. Because if you think about it, okay, I've actually got a calendar that I created previously to share this. I'll show you. Look, the only way that I could even match like an average teaching salary is I'd have to start selling my time like this, because there's only going to be so much that students are going to be willing to pay per hour of tutoring, right? So I would have to line up, you know, like 20 different students in order to do that. And that's only going to get me $1,000 a week, right? Times that by 4, right? That's about $4,000. Now, that doesn't double your income. And what I've done here is I've created a job where I'm bound by, I can only scale my income versus how many students I'm actually teaching. Okay, so it's a glorified job. So the key is to obviously switch to groups, because then your income can scale without you selling your time. Now, with that in mind, a lot of teachers start one-on-one to get a first few students here and there to gain experience. Perfectly fine. It's just not a long-term solution. And then so what I've seen some of our top clients do is they will maybe reserve a few one-on-one slots for VIP clients. And again, eventually you wouldn't want to do that. You would hire in teachers to help you serve those kind of VIP clients. And so there's a much better way of offering one-on-one sessions and running a hybrid model where you would run group classes and then the students get strategically placed one-on-one sessions, maybe at the start of their journey. Okay, when they first start, so you could do an assessment or that type of thing. The middle point, so let's say the student signs up for 12 weeks with you, and we'll go through recommended start points in a sec. Let's say they sign up for 12 weeks. You could place a one-on-one session, like a feedback session and report midway through that 12-week period, because that creates a little bit of momentum as well and a check-in to make sure that they're getting that check-in. You can refresh their motivation and give them some guidance for the next 6 weeks. And then you could also do like a 12-week check-in as well. So it's better to do strategically placed one-on-one sessions combined with the group model. And that's how you maintain the value and the support as well. That allows you to charge much higher rates for groups. Okay. So make a decision on your student capacity per hour. I recommend, as I said, start at 5 to 10 students. This will depend on your experience, your ability, also like student age and subject that you're teaching as well. Okay. So don't start any less than 5. Now, here's what you charge. So that we can map this out so you can double your income. Here's what you charge. There's 3 stages to this, okay? Level 1, if you've got 0 teaching experience online and you haven't sold any tutoring packages before, I recommend you start at $500 or £500 for 12 weeks, okay? That's an upfront fee. If the parents or students want to split it up, you can get them to pay $200 a month. All right. So there's a slight increase on the monthly payments if they want to break it up monthly, or if they want to split it in half, could be 2 payments of $300 or whatever. Right. And the reason why you do that is really important, because for you to keep enrolling students so that you can double your income and make sure you've got a flow of new business and sales coming in, you're going to need cash coming into the business, because this is going to help you provide better resources for the students. It's going to help you reinvest the income and cash back into marketing to keep growing, to make sure you can hire tutors and support so you don't get trapped, right? So you do want to increase so you just want to make sure there's an incentive if they pay everything up front. Really, really important. And plus, you can get more committed students. They've got more skin in the game. Right? And then once you've probably validated this, and I normally recommend, I've got a ton of trainings that you probably see. If you haven't seen them, check out my YouTube channel where I detailed this. Level 2, once you're closing, so enrolling 40%, 50% of the students that you speak to at this rate consistently, meaning, so if I speak to 10 students, 5 of them sign up. That's a good sign for you to progress onto the higher price point. So that's when you would go to level 2, increase your rate to $750 or $300 paid monthly. Or again, it could be $450 split into 2 payments. And then if you're enrolling 50%, so, 40, 50%, so 5 of every 10 students you speak to at this, again, increase your rate. Okay, so that's a sign you should increase your rate if at least 50% are consistently enrolling and paying you and getting started. Right, and then if you're doing that, again, move it up to $1,000 for 12 weeks. Okay, add 20 to 25% because you might charge 1,200, you might charge 1,500, $2,000. We've got teachers who are charging, you know, I've worked with teachers, for example, Quinita, one of the teachers that we worked with, she's teaching reading to elementary students and charges $2,200, okay, for 12 weeks of reading, and that's to elementary kids. And so the reason why she's able to do that is, of course, her conviction, her experience, the amount of testimonials and results she's got now for her students. So she's seen as the expert. So you do need to get yourself there. But this is a long-term game, right? You're going to be in this for the long term. And that's why it's such a good opportunity and such a good vehicle for teachers to use to, you know, start teaching with way more independence, earn more income, and have more impact. Right? So level 3, you just keep increasing your rate. You're going to find there's a price elasticity for the subject that you teach and your specific subject offer, your students, the age that you're servicing. When I say price elasticity, how far you can stretch it. So again, that's done on your percentage of the amount of students that you enroll, that you speak to. So you're going to need to test that based on the advice that I gave you. When you're enrolling 40 to 50% consistently, look to increase it, and you'll find a point where that suddenly goes down, and then that'll be a good sign to move it back to where you were kind of closing at a good rate. Guys, quick interrupt. I hope you're enjoying the video, but I wanted to make sure you picked up your copy of Teaching on Your Own Terms. It's my best-selling book, and it shares with you the exact 5 steps that I've used with over 2,000 teachers at this point, helping them build their dream online teaching businesses. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. It's been featured by NASDAQ in Times Square, New York City. And I know you're going to love it. Inside of the book, you're going to learn things like how to position yourself as the go-to tutor in the marketplace and the offer that you can create to get your ideal students reaching out and how to communicate that. I'll share with you what I've seen as the best advertising strategies to get in front of new students and parents who want what you've got, how to sell your services, and everything you actually need to include in an online group tutoring business to make sure your students crush it and get great results. There's some free gifts and bonuses in there. I think in the first couple of pages, there's a link. You can go and grab some free gifts on me. But I know you're going to love it. Teaching on Your Own Terms. I'll leave a link down below in the comments and go and pick up your copy today. So here's an example. Let's say that you've got 5 students in a group, okay? 12 sessions, okay? Now, if you're doing that, you charge $500 for 12 weeks. You've got 5 students in a group. They get 12 sessions throughout that time frame, yeah? With 5 students in a group, okay, so that equals about $40 per class. For you maths geniuses, it's actually $41.66, but just for ease of this video, we'll just call it $40 a class. Obviously, it could be pounds as well if you're in the UK. So with 5 students in a group, I've got 5 students, works out, but I'm earning 40 per student, okay, if I'm able to average it out per class of what they would have paid if they paid $500 up front. I got 5 in there, and that means 5 times 4, 20. So add a 0, 200 per class, as opposed to the 50 that probably the average tutor charges for a one-on-one session, okay? Now, if I'm doing 8 groups a week, that's 1,600, okay? So if we go back to that example that I was plotting on the calendar over here, if I plot out 8 groups a week, right, then that's going to give me 8. They see me once a week over the 12 weeks, 8 times 200, 1,600 times by 4 across the month, $6,400, okay? So if we look at the rates here, I've almost doubled my teaching salary. And so then if you had, that was with 8, if you had 10 hours blocked in there, which was half of this, so half the time, you will have doubled your teaching salary, the average teaching salary. Now, if your teaching salary is higher, well, what do you need to do? You need to work out how you can either increase the students in the group, or you need to raise your rates. You need to get to a point where you can charge a little bit more. And if you are earning more as a teacher, you've probably got more experience, right? Or maybe you've got more qualifications. You might be able to charge more out the gate right away, or you might not be able to. You might need to increase and boost your sales skills. Okay, perfectly fine, but at least it's a skill that you can train on. Now, I will say this. In the beginning, if you need to build sales skills and gain experience, because this is completely alien for you, as I said, it's not a problem. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to do this. It just means that you've got to get started and build some confidence first. So what we normally recommend to some of the teachers that we speak with who are starting from ground zero, 0 sales experience, is run what we call a 30-day launch offer and create a lower price point, like $97 or £97. Get a few groups of students up and running, like maybe fill the first 4 groups with this. And this will just set you up for long-term success. So it'll allow you to teach the students, gain some sales experience, and get some case studies and testimonials, which will ultimately allow you to use in your marketing to build more trust and value with other parents. Makes it way easier to sell long term. And then plus, you'll be able to upsell those students and upgrade them and retain them after the 30 days anyway and move them on to a 12 week. So you might need to do that. I've got a ton of videos that teach you how to do that. I'll tell you more about that at the end. Okay. So this is how this could look like. I mean, I put $100 across here on this timetable. So this would be if you had those 8 groups. I actually put the wrong amount and we worked it out to be $200 per class, right? So pretty simple math. Okay, so now all you need to do then for you is work out the students required. Okay, so step 1, I'd encourage you first so that you've actually got a target. Because when you've got a target in mind, you've got something to work towards, right? So step 1 that we normally say of the teachers that we work with is step 1, just replace your salary. Okay, so let's say that my salary is $5K a month, for example. We'll just use that for ease inside of this example. I'm just going to divide my current teaching salary by my price point. So if you started on level 1, which I said was $500 for 12 weeks, I know 5K divided by 500 is 10. So I need 10 students each month to make sure, and that's just 10 students. So if you think about that, you've just got to find a way to get 10 students to work with you, okay, which you can do. We've got the internet, we've got social media marketing, and now you've got a plan to replace your teaching salary. Okay, so step 2 is you double your income. So let's say you had a goal of making 10K a month, and that was just double your teaching income, and you were selling at 500. Well, now obviously I'm going to need 20 students per month. Okay, now if you had 10 students per class across those 8 groups, right? If you had 8 groups, then of course you're going to be able to fit in 80 students. All right, if you only had 4, then of course 4 hours to give. Then of course you're only going to be able to fit in 40 students, right, with 10 in a class. And obviously you can do the math for 5. And so you'll be able to see at this point how many slots you've got to fill. And then that will tell you based on, so if you're only teaching 5 in a class, obviously you've got less scale with this, but it doesn't matter. You can even, once you start bringing in the students, you're earning more cash. That's the sign when the teachers that we work with either go part-time in their current teaching job so they can open up more hours for this, or it's also the sign where they can hire someone like another teacher, a colleague that they might have to help them grow. So they're not spending more time, they're still enrolling students. And of course, you're going to need to pay the tutor. The teacher is going to help you. And that's why the group's so important, because let's say that you did charge or you did use one-on-one. Well, there's not going to be much profit there for you as a business, right? Because let's say that the student pays you $50 and you have to pay a tutor or another teacher $30, well, you're only keeping $20, right, from that. It's not a lot, okay? Whereas if it's the group class, and I showed you the example where even at the minimum price point level of 500, you'd be making 200 a class if you filled the class up. And I'm sure a teacher would be happy to do it for an extra $50, okay? Probably less, maybe, okay? And you could add performance bonuses in based on retention, stuff like that, but that's more higher level, a bit more advanced. So say even at that level, you paid them $50. Well, even if you paid them 100, you're still going to keep 100 from that. So that's why the group's so important, okay? So it sets you up for long-term scale. And so that's the scaling roadmap. So from here, you can fill your timetable, okay? So the amount of hours that you've got, maximize it. Now, we'll say this. It's important to not scale your own teaching hours past 10 a week, okay? And the reason why this is so important, you end up building a job. So I showed you a timetable on that calendar previously where the timetable was loaded up with different sessions. You must not scale past 10 hours of your own teaching time, because otherwise you get trapped in the job and you get trapped teaching, right? And you're selling your time again. And so that's kind of the sweet spot where you do want to start to think about hiring tutors and teachers to help you grow this, just like a school would. Once they hit their enrollment and student capacity with students on roll within the school, they're going to need to hire more tutors, or they're going to cap it. The school's not going to grow past it, or they need to open up another class. You know, same thing. That's how businesses grow. Now, Because as I was saying, you won't be able to market, you won't be able to plan, you won't be able to focus on higher level business tasks. This is what Tara did, one of our teachers here. Tara started working with us in January. I think she started just before the Christmas period actually, but then, like she used Christmas to do stuff and then got started in January. And so in 8 months, she scaled to 6 figures. This is pounds. So this is like probably 120K USD. Okay. And she was hitting 20K months and she's doing that as standard now. So she's done way more like since then. But she was able to use this model to grow her own business. She was a classroom teacher. She's a mum, right? So it just shows you what's possible. Not smarter teacher than you necessarily. She doesn't have more hours in the day. She did this while she was teaching in the classroom. She used the first 3 months to fill her own schedule, then see that she was bringing in the additional income, which allowed her to start to hand in a notice at school and then go all in on it. Okay, now I'm not telling you to quit teaching whatsoever. I'm just telling you there's a better way to teach and get the income that you deserve as a teacher and still impact our future generations. That's what this is about. You can use this as an opportunity to better your career and use it as an advantage, this moment in time we have. And of course, from scaling, again, what you could do, so we talked about filling your own timetable first. And it's the whole supply versus demand thing, right? If you fill your classes up and you then want to earn more income, well, you could just raise your rates, right? So when the students need to renew, you can say, here's the new rate for the next 12 weeks. And, if they can't invest that much, well, it's not a problem. There's not like they're the only students, so you have to fill it with new students, okay? Or you can hire tutors, okay? Because if your classes are at capacity, that shows that people want what you've got. Okay, so you need to increase your price point, and we talked about the signs of when you could increase the price point as well. Yeah. All right. Now, last little bit. How do you get the students? Well, I will say this. I'm going to give you access. If you stick with me for the next couple of minutes, I'll show you a full training that you can go and watch where I show you the advertising copy that you can just swipe and use, the sales scripts, the templates that you need to use to speak to parents to get them to book calls in on your calendar. I'll tell you where to get that training in just a second. I literally give you everything. But this video wasn't about that. This was just high level of how you could double your teaching income in half the time. And that's what we've been through. Okay. And I've given you a roadmap to do that. So how you get students, so there's 3 kind of key main pieces that you need to master in skills. One is organic advertising. Okay. 3 things work best for tutoring inside of this. All on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. Warm outreach, meaning reaching out to people you've already got as contacts, because you can already contact people. Cold outreach, reaching out to people who you don't already know in targeted groups. And this works great on Instagram as well. And Facebook group acquisition, using other people's Facebook groups to provide value, local community groups, mums groups, all of these type of things to provide value, not advertise, provide value. And I teach this in one of my other trainings, which I'll tell you about in just a sec, okay? So you can go and watch it after this one. Paid advertising then. This is where you can really scale, okay? Now, didn't mean to have that example inside of there. So with paid advertising, we recommend messenger marketing. And just a quick look at what this looks like. Here's an example ad. If I scroll down on my newsfeed here, here's an example ad that I've placed that you might use, okay? Then what happens is someone sees the ad and they click on the message. You pay Facebook or Meta, whatever, to just place this ad and place it in front of your ideal student. You can then click send message. And then if you see here, this is done all on automation. So while you're at school, you could set something like this up. Hey, Elliot, see if your teen qualifies for my SAT program, answer questions below. Do you have a teen that wants to boost there? Yes, I do. So you want to qualify as the right person. Hey, what's your email? We'll send you across some info. I can collect the email so we can follow up. What's your phone number? There we go. Cool. Why don't you go and great. While I'm reviewing your information. So again, this is running on automation while you're at school. So people can now book a time. Look on your calendar. You leave your calendar link there and they can go and book a time on your calendar. Okay. So that's messenger marketing. Obviously, this is better for scale. It works a lot faster. It's done on automation. And it allows you to build real connection with people. Whereas the organic is you investing time, okay, because you're having to do all this with time, which is a great place to start because it allows you to build cash reserves to eventually invest in paid marketing so you can scale it faster, okay? So everybody would be able to launch their first 3 groups with model 1, And then once you're using paid advertising, you build what we call a student acquisition system, okay? And so this is, you might have heard the phrase coined, fortune is in the follow-up, right? And so that's what this is. So I showed you that example just a second ago in Messenger where, you know, I collected the email, I collected the phone number. And so now I can follow up with email and remind people about my tutoring services, because not everybody's going to want to sign up with you straight away. But I see this, and what you should see the paid advertising is buying a seed. So if I'm a farmer, I plant the seeds by getting leads, right? And then I fertilize the fields, I water them, I'm watering my garden or whatever to make the seeds grow. And you do that through follow-up. And that's what our student acquisition system is, email. You build your own Facebook group to create a community of parents or students where you can provide trainings and resources and lessons to build trust. You can follow up via SMS. We already showed you how you can take the phone number. Phone, you can call people up, right? And because not everyone is just going to go and book on your calendar. And you can also use retarget advertising. So if you think about retarget ads, what this is let's say that you've been on a site at some point. I'm sure you have been on a site, and all of a sudden, it's like someone's website, all of a sudden they're following you around on your news feed or whatever, and you can't escape them. But that's retargeting. Right, so you're able to do that. And so as you grow your business, this is a great way to remind people about your tutoring service with testimonials of students, reminders to book a call-in review. You could launch special offers at the summer holiday period or whatever to create signups there. And so this diagram at the bottom was just an image of kind of what I walked you through just there. We showed you use advertising, either paid or organic, with you reaching out to prospects on your social media accounts. And the goal is to get them into a messenger conversation so you can build trust, establish rapport, okay? If you can, you see at the bottom, you click their email, phone, let's zoom in a bit, phone, or you can call them, or if you've got a Facebook group that you could build, you could nurture them inside of there. Some people will go immediately onto your calendar, which is the calendar thing in the middle, and then you're going to speak to them on Zoom, and then you're going to enroll them as a student and collect payment, probably on a payment process like Stripe or something like that, okay, which is a good one, easy to set up and get started with. In between that meeting and Zoom call though, you're going to give them some homework. And this could just be an information sheet on you, it could be a PDF that you provide, it could be a lesson video or whatever, to just build trust and value before they come into a consultation with you, okay? So that's the model. Now, here's what you need to do. If you want to see how to set all of this up, I've got a training that I did on YouTube where I break everything down step by step. I'm talking the sales scripts, I'm talking the advertising copy that you can use. I give you demonstrations of going out and reaching to students with organic advertising so you can start to get your first groups up and running and get well on the way to doubling your teaching income in half the time. Okay, it's called How to Start Online Tutoring in 2025. Go and check it out on the YouTube page, or what I'll do is I'll leave a link down below in the comments here so you can go and check that video. Okay, I know it's going to help you get started way faster because I'll walk through all the scripts and everything that you can need, templates, and you can just model it and copy it and get implementing. Look, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, if you loved it, hit the subscribe button, stay tuned for the next one, and go and check out that other YouTube video as well. Other thing that you might do if you haven't picked up my best-selling book yet, Teaching on Your Own Terms, what are you waiting for? Go and grab a copy. You can get that on my site. I will leave the link down below as well, or you can just go to Amazon and grab it. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. There's a free course inside that shows you how to start building an online tutoring offer to attract your ideal students. See you in the next video.